What's going on, guys? Welcome to the David F. Haas podcast. I'm here in the studio with my former client, good buddy of mine, Andrew St. Pierre, owner of Excelsior Auto Detailing. Him and I did a podcast, 7 months ago, something along those lines, when he was just basically starting out his company, and he reached out to me and said, hey, let's do another podcast. So I was like, yeah, 100%, because I'd love to hear about the process. Like, starting a business is exciting, and the ups and downs and the process are all exciting. And I think Andrew has like a great insight on what it takes to actually just start a business and become successful quickly, like especially when you're aligned. So Andrew, thanks for coming back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me once again.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So let's talk about, you came to me, pretty much a year ago, and you're in this spot where you're in a job you weren't really loving, and you had this idea of wanting to start this, but there was a roadblock or like a standstill to actually moving forward. And after working together really quickly, you were able to move through it. Like, I don't know when it happened fast though, of the actual leap that you made. So what do you think it was? Well, why don't you start with this? Like, where were you before you and I kind of started working together?
So I was pretty much working in a sales job. It was in a field I used to have a business in before. I did woodworking before this, so I was kind of done with the woodworking. I wasn't really vibing it, wasn't feeling it. And I didn't want to give customers me being burnt out. Like, that's not what I'm about. So I wanted to make sure it was like high quality. So I left that. I kind of pushed myself into the sales job selling woodworking tools because it was easy for me because I used them. And then that's kind of where I was for about 2.5 years. And then I bought a new car because I was making consistent amounts of money. It wasn't like crazy money, but it was the same paycheck versus sometimes when I did woodworking, it was like kind of big lump sum. So it's like, confidence was a big thing for me before that I didn't really have much. So it's like, I don't know if the next lump sum is going to come. So like, I never really bought a new car. So when I was getting consistent amounts of money, I bought a new car and I looked at it, and it was like, whatever, having wear. It wasn't as shiny as when I bought it. It wasn't clean. So I started cleaning it, and then pretty much it got to almost like an obsession. Like, I got to the point where it kind of like was showing me like you have to start a business, or like I'm washing my car 3 times a week. Like it's getting to the point where it's like there's a lot going on. Yeah. So I reached out to another detailer, which is a big thing with my business now, is don't be afraid to ask for help, because like even like coaches or whatever, like you're not going to get anywhere, I think, without them. And the more people you surround yourself with, the better. It's like, for example, now 1 year after like coaching with you, a lot of people I surround myself with are either business owners, coaches, people in the same mind space. And when you're in the same mind space, you're going to be like, if let's say 5 of them are grossing a certain amount of money, you're going to be the 6th. Like, it's just the way it works. Yep. Or successful, or with customers or whatever, you're going to be the 6th. So that's been a big thing. Yeah, that's kind of like where...
Yeah, no, I think that was a great point, was that, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with most. So if you're hanging around with a bunch of druggies, you're going to be a druggie. You're going to be the 6th druggie, But if you're hanging around with business owners, people that are successful, people that are in the right mindset, for me, a lot of people that I hang around with are like spiritual, right? So interconnectedness, you kind of, I believe, are just constantly guided towards whatever it is that you need, and I think when you were guided to contact me, it was like perfect timing kind of thing, because you were in this place of, you had this idea, you had this passion that you wanted to start this company. You had some experience running your own companies, but something happened along the way there. Let's actually explore that a little bit. Like, what happened with woodworking? Like, I know you, and I know that you're the kind of person that wants to do a good job and whatever. And you were having success in woodworking, but then you said, okay, this isn't for me. What was that realization?
So the main thing was I didn't have a mentor in that business. So I was always learning for the first time every time I was doing something. So by having mentors in the industry now, where it's like I could go on my phone and call 10 people if I wanted, they're all going to have a different answer. So you have a rough idea. So instead of you stressing out, having to figure it out, or pretty much that's it. I would be up all night constantly quoting stuff that's always different, or different stipulations or different things. And it's always different. So it's tough. So like by having mentors, like coaches, mentors, it really makes it a lot easier where if I ever run into anything, which rarely now ever really happens, but in the beginning, I could always say like Dean was my mentor and I would always call him. So like I ran into this, he'd give me 5 different things to try. And then one of the 5 would work. It's like you're not really stressed out up at night. Or like a life coach, for example, I would say I'm having issues with this, like I'm working too hard, I almost passed out in a car, like stuff like that, where it's like these are personal problems that I'm going through that I can't really, well, I could probably try and tackle myself, but I couldn't. It's a lot easier when you have a second person to like pretty much replay the movie for you that you're seeing firsthand. Say, why did you do it like that? Why didn't you do it this way? And that really makes your mind kind of like encompass the whole problem, and then it becomes easier for you, and you're having another person look at it. You're like, why did you do it that way? I would do it this way. And like then you're thinking about, he's right, why did I do it that way? So then you kind of just dig down that path. But really the big difference was I made it, I think, easier on myself by including more people into the business. Yes. Like I call it my team. Like even my employees, I don't call them my employees, I call them my team, because like everyone on my team is good at different things. I have one guy that can do a car faster than I can, so I mean, like, he's good at that on my team. I'm good at ceramics. I mean, like, we're all good at different things. So by encompassing all these people in your team, where it's like, I have coaches, I have this, they're all in my bubble. So it's like, once they're on your team, the team will succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And especially if you get that team aligned with the same vision, that's a big problem in business that most businesses have. And, here's a little coaching tip for you is that you want to get everyone on your team aligned with the same vision, because usually in business settings, everyone has their own alignment. So, employee A is working for you so he can, feed his kids, and employee B is working for you because this is a stepping stone for his next career. Instead of getting them aligned with their own purpose, we want to get them aligned with the purpose of the company, where they really truly feel aligned and connected to it. And the way you do that is just through communication. Even with my team that's sitting here, it's like I try and communicate, hey, like this is what we're trying to accomplish here by releasing the content that we're releasing, by doing these podcasts weekly. It's like we're trying to accomplish the building of the community, impacting people's lives. And when they get aligned with that, they feel like they're a part of something, and they're like, yeah, I want to help out, I want to move this in the right direction. And it's pretty obvious that as this grows, if they're a team member at ground zero, they're going to be a team member when the company is this gigantic company kind of thing, right? So getting your employees aligned with the vision so that you're all moving in the same direction and not people moving in all these different directions is critical. And it seems like you've already kind of grasped that concept. The big thing that I think, when you first sat down, and this is, I think you hit the nail on the head with this, is like, why do you need a coach? And I have this little image that my wife drew. It's like this guy inside of a jar, and it's like, it's hard to read the label from inside of the jar. And it's like, when you're in it, you just can't see it. And I was actually just having a conversation with a client of mine that he was basically saying to me, he's like, I have people that can point out all of the good things about me, but I don't see it for myself. Right. And it's like, why? Right. Well, it's because when you're in it, you can't see it. Right. So this works the same way for all the negative things that are holding you back and keeping you playing small. It's like, a lot of times you just can't see it for yourself. You can't read the label from inside of the jar. And so essentially that's what I was able to do, is help you is get outside the jar and say, hey, look at this label that you're wearing. Right. And, I think the big one for you was probably self-doubt.
It was self-doubt, and potential came up too. Because I didn't think, I just thought, okay, it's gonna be a side thing. Like when I had my other job, it was never planned to be full time. Like even like at its greatest point, like while I was working, I'm like, I'm gonna do it Saturday and Sunday. And now it's like, like there's no way, at all. Like it's ridiculously busy and successful.
Yeah, and that also is like a testament to what happens when you just leap. So many people are so reluctant to leap because they're like, well, I got to make sure that all my needs are taken care of. And obviously you have to make an educated decision. If you have $10 in the bank, you're probably not going to leap into a career where you don't know if you're going to be able to sustain an income. But even if you only did have $10 in the bank, taking the leap might force you to, make that business successful quicker, because if you don't, you're not going to have food on the table. But we could get into the and then what scenario, and you realize you probably will still have food on the table. But
Yeah, and like another thing now is because like I was talking to someone a few days ago and they were saying I want to be like whatever. They're in a certain industry now and they want to start a new business. They really have no idea about it. I'm like, then just do it. Like you're laid off anyway. Like that. Like the time right now. Like the amount of people have told me, oh, it's a pandemic, I can't start a business. I'm like, that's crap. I'm like, there is like complete. I mean, there's some industries where it does not make sense to start a business right now. But there's more that, like I would say 90% you can still start them. Like you can push them into, I mean, if you want to open a restaurant, maybe right now is not the best time to open a restaurant. But if you can still get the idea out and start trying to figure out how you're going to do it or meet the right people to do it. Like the best thing I ever did was I wanted to be a detailer. I went to go meet a detailer. Like, well, how are you doing it? Yeah. And then once you do that, you have all the right people, you have all their contacts, and then it just keeps going.
Yeah, and the big thing about that is, and as a testament to Dean, who kind of took you under his wing and taught you the business, is that there's so much more power in cooperation than there is in competition. I was on the phone with my client today, and she was telling me like about how she wants to basically start coaching people, and I was like, yes, like go, like like the goal of me teaching people is so people can stand on my shoulders and do even more than I was able to do, kind of thing. So when you get that, and when the intention is pure of like helping people, you experience 1,000 benefits from it. So it's like whatever you put out, whatever you give, you get back 10 times, right? And so I'm guessing, and this is just a guess, but by Dean giving you all of that experience, I'm guessing that you have probably given him business and whatever else. I mean, his business has probably also flourished from helping you.
Yeah, he gets a lot of my overflow. So like the first thing I say is, there's one guy in the city I trust in my car with my eyes closed. And when they hear that, cause like they see me on Facebook. I have a lot of social media, so like that's why they come to me. Yeah. And then I say like I'm booking whatever, 2 weeks out, 3, whatever it is, and they're like, oh, I need it done now. Okay, call Dean. That's the only guy I trust in my car. After that, like, he's gotten a decent amount of overflow from me. And like in terms of competition, there isn't any. Like, I mean, I had a detailer that posted on their Facebook, like a local one, that said like he had a customer swearing him on the phone. He was all fed up and that it wasn't going to allow it. And I just reached out to him and said, like, brother, like we all get that. Like, I mean, like don't let a bad day really ruin your life. And he messaged me back and said, like, I've been wanting to meet you. You're like one of the biggest ones in the city. And like, I would say we're equals. Like, I mean, and he's not my competition. I told him, like, there's 500,000 people in Windsor. I can't do all their cars. Like, even if I want to, if I had the biggest shop in the city, I cannot do 500,000 cars. I would have to have an empire of detailers to do that. It's not feasible. So I just told him, and like literally like after this, I'm gonna go meet him. Like, so like it's literally to the point where just to see, like competition is a thing. You're all together.
Yeah, whatever. And I mean, that's such an amazing mindset and belief to have, is because when you are focused on what your competition is doing, you're not focusing on what you're doing, and in the bar industry, it's the worst. Like I remember in the bar industry, all the other bar owners would always be walking up and down the streets and looking in my window and trying to figure out what it was I was doing, and it's like this competition mindset, which basically means that if you have it, that means I can't. Right. And it's like, that is like such a scarcity mindset. It's like you basically believe that there's not enough to go around. Right. And it's so not the case. Money is abundant. Opportunities are abundant. And if you really, truly believe that, then you will help other people. You will cooperate with other businesses because you're not fearful of them taking your business. And in fact, I remember for me, this is a great story. I remember, I was running Treehouse, and another bar opened up down the road, and they basically completely copied our concept, right? Just completely. It was so obvious. Like, people would come in and be like, "Aren't you paranoid?" And for a minute, I did get wrapped up in it and being like, "Oh," but then I caught myself and I was like, "Wait a second, no, there's abundant amount of customers, money is abundant. I will be completely fine." I did what I always do. I just got focused back on what I do, right, and to stop worrying about what everyone else was doing, and actually, them opening up made me 30% busier, right? And it was because they were doing the exact same thing I was doing. They were pumping all of this money into advertising, like just crazy. They're crazy aggressive advertisers. So when people would go to their bar and it was full, then the next place they were coming was me, right? And it just created way more business for me, right? So I was all worked up that this was going to ruin my business. And guess what? It ended up being one of the greatest things that's ever happened to my business. So when you get out of the mindset that money's scarce and opportunities are scarce, then you move into this cooperation mindset. And man, it's like now this guy that you reach out to, when he's booked up, where's he going to send people? To you. Like, it's just like, it's so gleamingly obvious to me now, but when you're in it, it's hard to see it. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of people need to kind of hear that our primary focus here as human beings is to help others. We all got it backwards, and this is a big thing I've been on lately, and I think this is something that you've brought into your business. But if you look at like AA, step 12 is take on a sponsor, right? And help someone uncover what you've uncovered, right? But that's really the juice of AA. It's like really where why it is so beneficial and why it's been so successful. Before AA existed, there was no cure for addiction. Like, they couldn't figure it out, right? But then with the advent of AA, people began recovering and staying clean, and it was because of this one simple thing, which helping other people, right? And you do that with your customers, is you go above and beyond, and you resolve a need that they have, right? And because you do that, it's from this place of like helping, right? And it's like, so like, let's talk about that a little bit, about the mindset of like helping your customer, helping other people, and how that has impacted your business today.
Yeah, so right from the beginning, I was all about helping people go the extra mile, provide quality over quantity. It's still there, and even with the team I got and the more cars we're doing, they're still high quality. That's very important. Like, they already know. I've told them multiple times. I go, if we're going to be late one day, I do not care. Like, I don't care if we're an hour late. I do not care. If it's not done right, I care. Like, I go like that, like, and they get it. Like, they totally understand. But then when you put in their mind, they don't cut corners at all. Like, well, it's not even a thought, because like, they're not stressed out. Like, I'm the most like, and it kind of like, so one of them, his wife's a business owner. He looks at me and like, I was getting him started the first week, and then I'll build into quality. I was getting him started the first week, and we're just doing the same workload I was doing. So I'm like, I'm not going to stress you out your first week and say, oh, we're doing 3 cars today. We're doing 1, 2, like whatever, slow. And so whatever, he picks up really fast. And he goes, aren't you worried about losing money? I go, I'll lose money the first 2 weeks. I don't care. And he looks and he's like, well, that's not how, like, what I've experienced before. Like, people get stressed out. I'm like, but if I give you the time to build now, you're going to make me a lot more money in the long term. Versus if I stress you out, so we're doing 3 cars today. I've never done 3 cars, whatever. But, oh yeah, we're doing that because now I have 2 people. He has no idea what he's doing. He's running a circle, whatever. I said, I don't care. If the first 2 weeks we figure out how to make you efficient, how to make both of us efficient, then great. And then, so it kind of goes all the way around. Quality in general. Go the extra mile for the customers. Find out what their issue is. Like, the first thing I always ask is, what points of the car bug you the most? And they're like, what does that mean? I go, what happens when you look in the car and you're like, oh, I hate that. Number one, it's usually stuff they didn't do. It's like, they're never going to say, they'll point out scratches on the car. I'll see a big scratch on the door, but they did that, so I'm not going to say that. But their wife did something on the other side that, oh, this bugs me. It's a small little thing at the bottom of the car. Okay, we'll spend extra time to get that one out that we probably would have missed. Like, right. Stuff like that, where it's like, because it all depends. You just want to make sure they're happy. You want to make sure all their objectives or problems are done, and then we go the extra mile. We're going to fix the car. It's going to be done upright. They're going to get a towel with mints in it, which no one ever expects. I always tell them, you can call me whenever you want. Like, I'm here to help you. I have people that they'll get their car done, or even, let's say, people that don't get their car done, because I sell products too, and they'll message me, how do I, for example, clay bar my car? I have a white car with a bunch of orange spots on it. How do I get it off? I'll come in and I'll show you. Like, the amount I've spent tons of time. Just come in. Even when I was by myself, I don't care about the cars would get done. I'd leave an extra time at the end of the day just in case, and I'd show them. I'd bring them out to whatever. I have a test hood where it's literally like anything gets tested on this hood from a junkyard, like, does not matter. So it's like, literally, this is how you do it. You demo with them. The amount of value you just gave those people, it's like ridiculous. Like, the people that will leave, like, no one ever does this. I'm like, well, that's why I'm going to be successful. Like, I don't care if it takes me half hour, and they buy products, but that's not the point. The point is, now they're telling their neighbor that this guy just showed me how to do this to my car. Now every time they work on their car, they're thinking of me. Like, so, And the main thing is, hopefully they teach someone else, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know you're not supposed to use a regular snow brush on your car. It scratches your car up. And people don't know that. It's like, if I can make videos, which that's another thing, is every week I make videos, I still do. And just like little tips like that, like don't use a snow brush on your car because it's going to scratch your car up. Like think about using that brush on it when there's nothing on it. Would you be scared to use it, or does it hurt your hand when you're using it? Yeah. So yeah, it scratches your paint up. So if I can tell you that go get a snow brush that's just all foam and it won't scratch anything, you don't have to pay $500 to paint correct it in 5 years. That's it. Like, I mean, like that, and that stuff everybody should be telling people. Like, I've had detailers message me, why are you telling people that you're going to lose money? I'm like, no, I'm not, like, at all.
Yeah.
Because when people ask for referrals or like different Facebook groups, like who's the best detailer or whatever, my name comes up a lot. And a lot of people aren't my customers. They just see my videos, they buy products, they talk to me, and they're like, you're really open. Like, I've talked to people on the phone for like half hour. Like, they're not even my customers, asking questions, and like you answer them because it's like that's the right thing to do. You want to help people.
Yeah. Give more than you expect to receive. And I know this is like cliche and we hear this all the time that you got to be giving, but it really, the power of giving is literally it's tenfold. It's like that half hour that you spent with somebody is going to turn into, more customers, more business. It's just that simple.
Well, it's ROI positive. Like, I've had a lot of people that ask me, like, you just lost, like, what do you charge an hour? You just lost X amount. I'm like, you're thinking about that all wrong. I go, every time you talk to a customer, it's ROI positive. So return on investment positive. Every time I educate someone, the amount of like people that will come to me that I've done tons of videos on ceramic, never heard of it before, but since they've watched my videos, they're like, I need this on my car.
Yeah.
Like, so stuff like that where it's like the other detailers I think are kind of missing it. Is it's like you got to educate your customers. Like even my employees, I tell them, educate. If you have a chance when you're working and a customer comes in and you're, for whatever reason, I'm busy and they're asking you questions, tell them everything. Show them what we're using. Show them whatever. If they're asking you about, don't hide anything in the cupboard. I said, that's not what we're all about. Like, show them. Show them how you do it. If they ask you, how do you clean the door? Show them how you clean a door, and show them how we actually clean a door. Not, push this product and then, no, show them how you clean the door and then show them what product you use.
Yeah.
I go, because that's it.
A lot of times too is like people they just want the knowledge. Like, I'll give you an example. I remember I was at like a car wash in Florida, and I got out of the car wash and they took an air compressor and they like blew out all my cracks and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's how you do it, right? And then I was like, oh, okay, now I know that secret. So then one day I cleaned my car with an air compressor and it was beautiful, like not a crumb in the thing. I was so pumped. But like it took me like an hour and a half to get this thing done. I'm like, I don't have the freaking time to do this. So it's almost like people want to know, but once they know, they're probably just going to still hire you to do it.
Yeah, and it kind of justifies your price too, I think, because they see the tools. Like in videos, I show the tools we use. They can see the makes. They can see, like, they can go buy whatever they want. But when they see that, they're like, like maybe I'll just have him do it. He does it all the time. Like, we're all going to be quicker than what you would be. So I mean, like, we're doing it, like every car is, I always laugh. I say every car is the same. I go, it doesn't matter what the make is on it. It doesn't matter. I treat a Toyota Prius as I would treat a Lamborghini. It does not matter. I mean, a car has seats. A car has everything. It's all the same. I mean, there might be different materials in it. You have to treat differently. But in terms of cleaning it, I don't remember the makes I'm sitting in. I mean, we sit in a lot of different makes of cars. Right. I honestly, if someone says, oh, do you remember the Porsche, whatever? No. I'm like, maybe if it was like a really car that stood out to me, but no, I'm like, I cleaned it, but
right,
or whatever, but
so I mean, I love that. It's just like just get focused on giving, or understand that when you give, it's going to come back. And if you do that, I mean, it really makes business really simple. Like, people, I think a big thing if you're listening to this podcast is to understand that business is actually relatively easy, in the sense of, and I don't want to say easy because when I say easy, people think it's like get rich quick kind of thing. There's effort that goes into it, obviously, but as far as like common sense, it's like really simple. It's like, show up on time, do good work, be kind and courteous, and then the last is control your costs. Like, basically make sure that you know your numbers, and if you do those things, you're going to be successful. It's like, it's really that easy. And I mean, you're a testament to that. You came, when you started coaching with me, you're working a job, making whatever, $20 an hour, or whatever the hell you were making. And it was like, you were in this place of like, should I take the leap? And for me, looking from the outside in, I'm like, yes, like, just take it. You got everything that you need to start this company. And like, you were wrapped up a little bit in like, I need to get my website up and running, and I need to do this, and I need my business cards, and I need all these things. And I was like, you don't need anything else, just go, right? And then eventually you finally were able to see like, oh, I'm ready, and you made the leap. And I want to go a little bit deeper there because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck is inside their own head and all of the scenarios that kind of prevent them from just finally making that leap or finally making the decision. And so like we touched upon that there was a lack of confidence on your end and not being able to see what I was seeing easily. But there was other stuff that we worked on and understanding, I think, how your mind was kind of like keeping you trapped a little bit with these scenarios. Like, can you recall any of those things that we talked about? Like we talked about the business cards and the websites. But what were the other things you were telling yourself that you needed to get going?
I think you get to a point when you're like, I can always learn more. So it's when's the right time to go? And I don't think you'll ever find the right time to go. Like after like this year, I've had a crazy amount of detailers that are new just messaging me like, do you have any tips? I'm like I'm new. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm not like, yeah, I'm successful, but I'm still like not like where other people are at. So I'm like, why are you asking me? And like they're like, you're open. Like the other people won't tell us. Like I've asked, like I've had people come to my shop. I'm like, why are you asking me? Yeah. Like, well, we know you have employees. We know you grew this fast. We knew, and you're open online. Like in all my videos, if you have questions, ask me. Like honestly, I'm wide open. But like a big thing that like I tell them is the same thing I did, and it's literally just go on your Facebook and write you're starting a business and you're going to be cleaning cars, and the amount of people you'll get 50 people. And that's what we did. Yeah. And the amount you'll get, 5 people, you'll probably get 10 that are interested, and you'll probably get 5 jobs out of it. That's what I did. And then it'll just build. Once you do a good job, and then make sure like you do a good job on the cars. Don't just like half-ass them to say it. Like do a good job, focus on them, spend the extra time on those 5 cars because you're new, you're going to take more time. But once you do those 5 cars, I can promise you that's going to double. You're going to get 5 more from those, and you're going to get 5 more from those, and and it's just going to keep going. And it's also going to, most of those people are going to be friends and families. Like what I told them is, if I miss anything, tell me. Like cause I know you're going to be honest with me. Tell me. It's like a customer might not tell you if you miss something, but a family member is going to say, because they want you to succeed, or a friend, they're going to say, I noticed this. And then the more stuff that they notice, the more stuff you're going to notice. Because like, for example, my employees, they're like, how do you know all these spots that we miss? I'm like, how do you think I know? Because I miss them. Like I go, you miss them once, and then like you're cleaning up the car, like, oh, in the door, under the seat, so then you learn all the spots, and that's going to be the hardship when you're new is, it's going to take you longer because you miss more spots versus now, I can do a car pretty quick and I don't really miss much. But it's pretty much just build on your business, go on Facebook, like don't overthink it. Even if you don't have business cards, even if you don't have a business name yet, if you just want to test it. Like I got people that just say, I don't know if I want to do a business. I'm like, then just say you do detailing. I go like, or just say you're thinking about it. And even if you say I'm thinking about starting a business, people are still going to be confident in you and say, okay, you can wash my car.
Yeah, 100%.
Or whatever your profession
and a big thing that people get wrapped up in is the how of like, or the what they need to do. And you don't want to ever confuse learning with action. Like that is like a big thing. I got trapped in that game for a long time of like just trying to like absorb so much information, and then I realized that I was using learning as a crutch not to take action. And it's like I need to learn more before I start my coaching business or whatever it may be. And then it's like whatever it is that you need will just be revealed as you begin the process. And so that was like one of the things that you and I did right from the get-go was like, that's where I said, I'm like, I want you to go through your Facebook list and I want you to message every single person that you're comfortable messaging and saying, hey, I'm starting a detailing company. Would you like your car detailed, essentially? Right. And so it was twofold. One was I kind of forced you into the fire a little bit.
You did.
Yeah. And so from that though, you built confidence and you got out of this you got unstuck essentially, right? And the big thing a coach will do is keep you accountable. So if we say, hey, you're going to do this, then you have to actually go and do it. And if you don't, you got to sit back in that chair next week and say, well, I didn't do it. Then we can get into, well, why didn't you do it, right? And that's a little bit of what we worked on as well is understanding what was going on and why you took on these beliefs that you didn't have the confidence. Like I think the big thing that separates people from being really truly successful at high levels is that for some reason, whatever it may be, they've found a way either through escape or through actually learning how to deal with it to turn off that voice in their heads that says I'm not good enough, right? And so for me it's like and for you, both of us, and so many people have that voice, right? And a big thing that you and I did together, and we don't have to really go too deep, but was like uncovering where that voice began in your life, right?
And especially this year, I notice it now. Like when I'm with other people, like they'll make certain calls. I'm like, why are you like living in fear? Like I'm like, I didn't notice it until like you just said that right now. And it's like, because that's where I used to be. Or it's like certain things where like we're not gonna walk this way because of this, or we're not gonna. Like, why are we doing that? I'm like, why don't we just do it? Like so then, yeah, literally right when you just said that, it came up. And yeah, a lot of people live in fear, but like the main thing is like, you got nothing to lose. Like even if it's your friends and you're like, you do 5 cars, like I don't want to do that. Who cares? Like it's the main thing. Like the amount of people that ask me for business advice, and it's like, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm like, just try it. I go, or find someone that you want to learn it from, then you'll know. And like, but even like detailing is a good example, because anyone can start detailing. There's no, which it's kind of scary too, but anybody can start detailing. But like there's nothing. You could literally start with a bucket and a vacuum and you could do cars. Would it be the same as like what a lot of people are doing? No, but it'll get you started, and then you can start and see where you want to go. But just try it. And like the amount of people that think, oh, they're going to, whatever, if I don't do it, people are going to judge me, or my friends are going to, who cares what they think? It doesn't matter. Because the one time when you're right, and like it gets to the point now where it's like people in the beginning were like, you're starting your own business, and now they ask me for jobs. So, I mean, like you look at that, you're like, okay, like, like it doesn't really matter. I mean, like you got to kind of do it. And if you're wrong, you just learned something you're not going to do, and you'll try something else.
That's it. So it's like, but there are factors that hold people back from taking that leap. You know, you were in it. You were.
What's scary?
You're sitting in that chair, and you're like, I could see after talking to you, I'm like, you have everything that you need to start, and you're like, well, I'm not even remotely ready to start, right? And so uncovering what those are, right, and where that began in your life, I think is huge, because it just with awareness alone, then you can begin recognizing it in yourself. If you don't have the awareness, then you can't see it. And if you can't see it, you can't fix it, essentially.
And like looking back at it now, because we talked about education, I was way overeducated to start. Like 110%. I have certifications that no one else in the city has. So I mean, like when you look, and I had them since the beginning. So when you look at it, and you're like, and I've seen other businesses where like we look at them now, it's like we're doing it in X amount of time, they're doing it X amount of time. Like efficiency wise, it's like, really, I was more prepared. Like there was really nowhere to go but up. Like there was like almost like I would say 5% chance of failure. Like looking back at now, hindsight's 2020, writing everything down, looking at it, it's like the amount of different trainings I did, the amount of time I spent with Dean, and it was like there really wasn't anywhere else to go. And the amount of time I spent with you, and that's kind of the main testament, is like that's where the coach is really going to help you. Like, I mean, a lot of the successful people, when you look at it, they all have coaches. No matter where you look, in any industry, sports, any industry, they all have coaches. Tiger Woods, for example, saw this stat when he was top in golf, he had 7 coaches. Why did he have 7 coaches?
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. And my customers now, who are mostly business owners, and I will say different things, like I have coaches. Oh yeah, I do too. Everybody does. Because the amount of people, because you have to have someone that holds you accountable or pushes you to keep advancing. If you don't, you're going to stay stagnant, or you're not going to advance as fast. Like if you want to accelerate it, and that's why I tell people, is it's like, if you want it, sometimes people get hung up on the money. Like, okay, let's say $5,000 for an example. I'm like, if you don't spend $5,000, you're not going to make $100,000. Like, so I mean, like, really, does the $5,000 matter? No. And you're going to wake up, not be stressed out or anxious, or, cause that was another thing. I used to wake up every morning when I had a car and be anxious. Like, could barely get out of bed. Like now it's like I got 4. So I mean, like I wake up stress free, like whatever, go to work, like, and that's it. And there's like, if there was a time where I should be stressed out and anxious, for now. Like, I mean, the amount of moving parts we have going on now is way more than me working on one car.
Yes.
Like, so it's like, but by solving that problem, by seeing where it came from, by wondering like, why am I feeling this way, and like kind of conquering that, that's where the work really comes in. So like for us, in our coaching, like business might have been 2 weeks out of, I don't even know how much weeks, of 6 months.
Yes.
So the rest was all personal stuff, because I really didn't think, I'm like, I need help with business. I don't need help with personal stuff. But the personal stuff's really going to assist you in business, because a lot of your personal stuff's holding you back.
Yep, it's 100%. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Most people do come to me because they want to make more money, and then we say, okay, well, that's easy, but let's understand why all of these things are happening. You know, it's like you had it all, you had the complete package. The only thing that you were missing was the confidence, and then we just had to uncover why the confidence wasn't there. And once you just understand it, you begin to change, and this is where you start experiencing the success. Like, you know, in a short period of time. like you have like a real successful business here, like, and you have 2 employees, and you're moving to that place now where you're no longer very soon trading your time for money.
It's pretty close already.
Yeah. So this is where, I try and pull everyone out of, when they come to me. It's like, right now, if you have a job, you're in the business of trading your time for money, right? So now here's the thing. Not everyone is an entrepreneur. Some people are really comfortable just getting a paycheck, and that's great. And you can find ways to advance within that company, right? But you have to find a way to get out of that time for money paradigm. So you can do that within a company for sure, because you could say, hey, I can do this job that I'm going to charge $10,000 for. I can do it in 2 weeks, right? Whereas if you're working on an hourly basis, it might take you 6 months, right? So if you can convince your boss, say, I can do that in 2 weeks, give me my money now, then it's 100% certain. Now, is a boss going to do that? Probably not, but you can find ways.
Depends on the boss.
Yeah, you can find ways to make that happen, right? And then, so once you get into business and you get out of this time for money, this is when you really begin to experience the freedom that everyone wants to experience from running their own business or getting out of the time for money issue. So where you're shifting now for you is you're shifting into being a real, true entrepreneur, right? You were an operator before, and now you're moving into like the entrepreneur, which is like the leader, the advertiser, the marketer, like the strategy behind the whole business. I think you're going to kill that as well.
Yeah, and that's the next thing. And like another thing that like a lot of people, because like entrepreneurship's cool right now. Like, I mean, in general, it is. Everyone wants to. Everyone, if you look at everyone's Instagram bios, and this is when you see like when you start running a business and you start going in the circles of people, everybody's Instagram bio is going to say, "I own this. I'm an independent seller for this. I'm going to do that." And it's like, and some people aren't good at it. I've had people that are friends or like certain employees somewhere, like they see the work I do, they see the amount of work, the phone calls I answer, they see the meetings I go to, like, how do you do it all? Like, I love it. Like, there's nothing else that like, it's a game. Like, at 100% a game. Like, if I could, like, some people like to gamble, I like to throw money at myself. Like, it's like, that's just what I am. Like, I love it. Like, there's it doesn't feel like work to me. And like, that's also kind of a dangerous thing too, is because sometimes I could be playing the game all night long or messaging people or whatever. So now, like, I got set times where like I'm working, but still it's like, it's fun to me. My employees, would they want to do it? No. Like, they've even told me like, you do a lot. I'm like, I know, like, but I like it. It's like they love doing cars. They like going home at 5. They love it. But like another thing too is, I think it also depends where you work. Some companies make it very easy to be an employee and they reward you well. Like, there's stuff that's something that I'm very focused on right in the beginning, is my employees are well taken care of. Like, for example, like I'm probably one of the highest paying auto detailers in the city. And the reason why is I know that we're doing one of the best jobs in the city. I know that. And I know when you pay that, I'm not competing with Walmart. If I went in and said your minimum wage, it's a revolving door. If I start at X amount and say this is what, and both of them like, what? I've hired 2 people, have no idea what detailing is.
Yeah.
0. And that's what I wanted, because I'm doing things a little differently that are different, like not secrets, but like I'm doing things differently. So if I can teach new people how to do it, they're going to grasp onto it so fast. Another thing that I went for was I made SOPs for everything I do, which was, one of the worst things I'm not a school person. Like I could not, like, for me to write all that was tough for me. But the big thing was when I said, okay, we're going, like, you're learning how to wash a car, which sounds like, oh, that's easy. Or like doing a detail, it's 14 pages long, like how I do it. Because there's 3 different types of learners, whatever it is, hands-on, book learner, and then auditory or whatever. There's a few different types. So the one guy, he's a school learner. So he got the SOP, read it front to back. He did the car by himself, let me tell him. I had to show him a few spots that he missed, but grasped onto it, went through it. The other guy's hands-on. So he watched me do it once, and he's done. Never done a car before. And now they're going through cars like it's nobody's business, and like it's nuts. So like, when you hire employees, you want to make sure it's efficient. I want to make sure it's easy for them. All my bottles are color-coded. They all have different color electrical tape on them, so they can easily say, oh, I need red, and they know it has a label, but they don't have to look at the label. They literally handle, okay, red, grab it, this is glass cleaner, this is. So then it makes it easy. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, you got to work for 5 hours, I'm going to pay you nothing, you're going to work overtime. That doesn't happen. Like, there's different things where it's like, or like, for example, we make a lot of tips. A lot of customers tip us, so they get tips. Like, the amount, when I told them that, they're like, what? Like, we're doing cars. I'm like, yeah, we're doing cars. But even just like little things like that where it's like they get extra money on their checks and they look and they're like this is kind of good. Or like I tell them, like if we have 8 hours worth of work, you finish it in 6, you can do your own car.
Yeah.
That's just something, because I'm not going to say you go home and you only get 6 hours pay, because I know how that works. I worked in place like that. Okay, well, next time I'm going to make sure it's 8 hours.
Yeah, right.
So if we can finish the car, and they're done right. Like, I'm not saying slam through cars and like it's all sloppy. No, they're done right. Like, they pass, I inspect them, whatever. But then they can work on their own car. The amount of time they've spent working on their own cars because they're doing things right, they're, happy they are. Then they bring their wife's car in, they fully do it, and they're super happy, and then their wife's happy with the car. It's a whole different thing. Like, they message me all the time at like 9 o'clock at night. I just watched a detailing video on this. What product should I buy for home? And it's like, you weren't even a detailer a month ago.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like different stuff where it's like, if you make an environment for people to succeed and make it easy for them, it's going to 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where, if you don't want to start your own company, if you find the right company, the right boss to work for, you can excel and you can, move up that ladder and get to that place where you're enjoying what it is that you're doing. So it's not like, I don't think everyone has to be an entrepreneur. No. But for the people that are, and most of the listeners here are entrepreneurs, what would you say some of the keys to the success that you had? You went from zero to like making $100K a year kind of thing in a short period of time. So it's like, what do you think were the primary factors? One we already highlighted would be confidence.
Yeah, confidence. Yeah. In terms of like confidence aside, like being personal issues, I'll do separate. But business, I think it was quality. Not worried about money, like the bottom dollar, because that's another thing that people get caught up on is like, oh, you did this and then you didn't make money here or whatever. It's always going to come back. Education, like educating the public is crazy rewarding. And then once you educate people, I think it was a Gary Vaynerchuk video I watched, and it was talking about, it pretty much essentially was, if you're a lawyer teaching people how not to use your services, you'll be the biggest guy that walks in that room. Mm-hmm. And it's true. If you teach people how not to need to use me, everybody's going to talk. Like, you're the biggest guy in the room. I don't need your money. Like, that's not it. But it's like, if I can empower you to like, this is how I clean glass, or like, for example, the amount of people that come back, I watched that video, but I don't want to do my carpets. Like, there are different things like that where it's like education is a big thing. And just being a person, people. Like, I mean, a lot of my customers, I call them like, they're like my friends. Like, they call me, hey buddy, how are you? And that's where the videos really come in, because like, I'm used to it now. I wasn't used to it before. It's like everybody in LaSalle, if I walk into Zares in LaSalle, people look at me and do one of these all the time. I never realized it before. Now I realize it now. I'm like, and like, I'll walk around with friends. Like, a good example is my friend does woodworking, and he goes, can you help me move this dining room table out of a house? I'm like, yeah, sure. So like, everybody knows I usually wear my logo on me somewhere. That's who I am. I took everything off. I was wearing like a gray shirt, gray coat, mask with nothing on it. And I walked in, she looks at me and she goes, you look familiar. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I didn't say anything. And I started talking. She goes, no, you look really familiar. My buddy freaked out. He goes, he does videos, okay? He's a detailer. Bro, like, laughed. He goes, I can't bring you anywhere. No. And it's like, true. Like, she never used me before. But it's like stuff like that where it's like, people are like, what in advertising? That's another thing, is learn how to advertise for free. Yeah. And like, yeah, I pay for advertising, but a lot of my business doesn't come from paid advertising. Right.
And I think another thing that you did really well was you got targeted as like LaSalle. Yeah. Like, you're really focused on where you live, right? And so it's like, if you pick, I remember when I did like an advertising campaign for this event I had called Your Best Year Ever, I was only targeting Windsor area, ages like 25 to 45 or something. And it's like, there wasn't a person that didn't see my ad, right? So it's like, if you're doing whatever it is you're doing, if you're spreading we have been making that mistake recently, is where we're kind of spreading our reach we're casting our net way too wide. We're not catching any fish kind of thing. Whereas if you cast that net like really close, the holes are smaller, whatever that analogy is, you're going to catch kind of more fish. And then that's essentially what it is like, you got so insanely specific in LaSalle that once you've established clientele in LaSalle, then it slowly starts to expand out, So I think that was something that you did like really well, and it was just kind of just organic because that's where you lived.
Yeah, and it kind of like, a lot of my customers are in walking distance. Like, literally, like, a lot of them, they might drive home, but I would say like 25% walk home. Like, so it's like, that's where it's like, when I buy a building, it has to be in LaSalle. Like, there's no other way. I'm not going to make people drive to Windsor. I'm not going to make people drive to Amherstburg. It has to be there. So like, we got to find a place there, because like everybody walks, everybody like it. That's just, and everybody knows me there. So that's another thing. Like another thing in business I also thought was a CRM. Right from the beginning I had one where it's like a customer relations manager, I think is what it stands for, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, so it's a system that essentially tells you when to contact your customers or does it for you. So it's a lot of things where it's like, if you get a service by me and it needs to be done in a year, it will text you and email you and say you got to come back. Because there's no way I'm going to remember that. Number two, there's no way the customer's going to remember that. Like the amount of ceramic services I do and they have to come back every year or whatever, I even tell them, like, you don't have to think about it. It's literally automatic. You know how many people look at me and goes, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, my life's busy. Like, I'm like, I get it. Mine is too. So it's like, just let it do its thing. And
that's another thing that you've done well is that you understand the power of automation, right? So a lot of people will resist spending an hour, setting up a system. Let's say, for example, putting tape on your bottles that will save them like countless hours in the future. They just will keep doing it inefficiently for such a long period of time. Like, actually the good example is Apple Watch. Is like, I've had this Apple Watch for years, and it wasn't until recently that one of my clients said, like, hey, like, you're not closing your exercise rings. And I'm like, yeah, I knew what they were, but I didn't understand. And I'm like, yeah, I can never close them for some reason. And she's like, oh, well, you got them all set all wrong. And she showed me how to set them. And now ever since then, I haven't missed a day of closing my exercise rings, So I'm like, that is the power of this device, right? And so it's like, you have all of these tools, and you can get wrapped up in trying to use the next tool and forget about the simple things like just doing good work, and but those tools are there, and if you can use them efficiently, you're going to end up saving like just so much time and energy. So putting SOPs in place, using a CRM, labeling your bottles, these are the things that are going to pay off huge in the future. And this is where a lot of business owners, they miss. Like when I ran Treehouse in the beginning, that was the last thing on my mind, all of that shit, right? And then later on, and it was like they created all kinds of problems. Like there was a period that I had a bunch of theft, and then I had to invest in this like huge system to like count the booze and do everything, because I was like, I needed something to automate this, because weighing bottles, and it was just like, it was way too inefficient, right? So I just spent the money. I had to spend like $20,000 to bring this system in, and ever since then, like our costs have been like on par. So like imagine like one automation, even though it cost me $20,000, probably saved me $2 million over the course of the last 20 years. Right?
Well, and another thing what that will do is it'll make it a lot easier for you to expand. So if I can show an employee that this is the job, this is the car, this is what you're doing, and it's on their phone, okay, they punch in, so I have how long it takes them to do each car, then you can really see how much money are we making on each job.
Yes.
So when you have all the numbers in front of you, it makes it a lot easier, versus like I'll walk in other shops and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're doing double the amount of cars I am, but you're not making the same profits we are, and you're charging the same amount. So they have no idea. They don't track how much product they use. They just order it when the guy tells them to order it. They don't figure that out. So by putting systems in place, and you can get kind of hung up on it. I found a system that's meant for detailing, so it makes it very easy for me to do it. And every industry has one. Contracting, I'm sure, has tons of. That'd be another one. Would be like a parallel where I'm sure they have job like management systems and whatever. But those alone, like the amount of money you'll spend on them, will save you so much time and money and effort. And if you ever have somebody else, I'm not just handing them paper. Oh, grab the key and wax it. Because he has no idea. He literally, it's on his phone. He'll know before he comes to work, if he wants, what he's doing for the day. He just knows. Like, he'll see, oh, Andrew's talking to a customer from X time to this time. Yeah, customer's coming for that. Oh, I have 3 cars, and you can see who's doing what and whatever. And the main thing also with efficiencies is we do a car the exact same way every time. So if I have 2 people, like for example, I have an employee that works on the weekends. I have an employee that works during the week. If I'm ever sick, they both can go into a car and work in different roles, and they'll know who's doing what in what order, because they're all taught the same way. And that's the way it's going to always be, where it's like, oh, he's working on the pasture side, he's on glass, so he already did X, Y, and Z. So if he ever has to stop, that one can grab in and go, okay, where were you? It's not, oh, I cleaned this order. Oh, I don't really like to clean this. I do that last. And because you'll walk in, like, I remember detailing with other detailers. I'm like, what order do you do everything in? Well, it's whatever I feel like, whatever looks the dirtiest. Okay. Like that's because that's how you miss stuff. So when you do it the same way, like we work top to bottom. So it's like, okay, look at the top, clean it, bottom. So it's literally that easy. Yeah.
There's something that you brought up here that I think is like a critical factor to success, and very few people actually have it. I mean, I actually don't think that I have it either. I've been getting better at it, but which is attention to detail. And most people lack attention to detail because they're impatient, right? So they don't want to put the time in to figure out a system because they just want to go and do whatever it is they want to do. Like, they just want to start detailing cars. They don't want to take the time to develop a system for standard operating procedures, right? They just want to be making money and detailing cars. And so I don't think I'm the person that pays a lot of attention to detail. I'm kind of more of a person that says, I'll find a way to make our sales insanely high, right? So I'll do that with marketing, whatever. And then later I'll backtrack and say, now I'm going to try and put some attention into this detail to get it all. So that works. I think your way is better, but how can you start? So what I've been trying to do for myself, and I'd be interested to hear what your concept is, but what I've been trying to do for myself is trying to pay attention to detail in small areas of my life. So I've been noticing, like, when I reply to people's emails, I reply like a text message. Like, it is like just a blur on the paper. So recently I've been like replying like, hey Rob, comma, like capital, here is the information. So I'm trying to like pay a little bit more of attention to detail there. And I'm noticing that it's starting to kind of carry forward into other things that I do. And so, I'm just doing these things. Like my business partner, him and I just bought a huge piece of property, and he is an insane attention to detail person. Like, he will try and answer every question possible before he does anything, right? And I'm the kind of person that will just do it and answer the questions as I go along, right? So I think there's these two people, A and B. I don't think one's wrong or the other, but I do see a huge benefit if you can put that attention to detail. And that's something that you 100% have, is an attention to detail. So like, where do you think it comes from? How did it exist? Did you take it on? Is it just who you are? Like, I'm just interested.
It's who I am. I would say, and it's something I kind of have to have in this profession.
Yeah.
But
it's in the name of your company.
Yeah, it's kind of important.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, a lot of like emails, like I have templates. So it's like literally where it's like, oh, they're asking for an interior detail. It'll say price in bold letters, so it has a whole list. Dear blank, I write their name in.
But what I'm saying is that your attention to detail made you create these templates.
Oh yeah,
right.
But I also knew how much time I was wasting writing everything out.
It's like an efficiency thing.
Yeah, so like literally, like if I ran an ad, I'm getting 40 people emailing me at once.
Yeah.
So it's like, when I look at it, it's like I wasted 2 hours, not wasted, but used 2 hours emailing people back when I could be working on cars.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can make that as easy, how can I make that easier? So it's like literally, or like my employees, for example, we have security cameras. Like, I can literally watch, and I don't, but when they were new, I'm like, why are they leaving the car and how many times?
Yeah.
So you can see, oh, they're grabbing this, but I'll put it in their bucket. They have a bucket where it's literally everything they need is in this bucket. So they just go down, grab it. They're not leaving the car.
Yeah.
So you can look to see, okay, they're grabbing this. Why? Why are they leaving the car, and how many times they're walking around the car? I did that for the first 2 nights when they were new. And after that, they looked at it like, you just made that really easy for me. I didn't tell them I was watching them. But I did say, no. But I did say, like, I added this to your pill. Oh, that makes it a lot easier. I keep looking for it. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, like, because then once you do little things like that, and that's little things. I just put a bottle in their pill or a brush or like whatever they're grabbing that I didn't think they would need, but they do. When you do things like that where they look and like, this guy actually cares, like, he wants to make my job easier. Because I tell him, like, if I can make you more money and make it easier for you, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Like, it should be like that.
Right. So what is it in you that makes you do that?
I've worked in places where I didn't like.
Yeah.
So like when I've seen other bosses where it's like they're really worried about the bottom dollar, they don't care about their employees. I'm the polar opposite. Like, even my employees look. Like, they did their first ceramic coating, or one of them did. I bought them lunch, and he's like, "Why'd you buy me lunch?" I go, "It's your first car that you did with ceramic. Like, it's a big deal." Like that. Right. And he looked, and he's like, and so he started sending it to his wife. He goes, "Look, my boss just did for me." And it's like, I'm like, I did that because it's cool. Like, you did your first car. Like, that's a big thing, and like, it was done right. Like, so if you can polish a car with me, like, and I polished it quicker. And he looked, he goes, "You polished 3/4 of the car, and the time I polished 1/4 of it. Like, I've been doing it for 3 years. Like, there's going to be a difference in time." But he looked and he finished it, and he was proud when he was done it. Like, he's like, "We did all that." And I'm like, "Yeah, like we did it all. Yeah, I taught you." And like, he goes, "I could do that by myself next time."
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah. So maybe maybe your attention to detail came out of working in other industries. But I kind of feel it started earlier for you.
It did. Yeah. It still, like, it builds onto, I've learned this in a few different jobs, especially in sales jobs. The company takes care of the employees take care of the customers.
Yeah.
Big thing for me is customer service. So I'm very focused on when I move out of the business, I'm not doing the day-to-day all the time. Those guys will be. So if they understand that this is why we do things this way, we're a team effort, this is why we're so good, whatever, and they truly love what they do and they're happy about it and they're well taken care of, there's really no excuse for them not to be doing a good job.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's kind of like, and it goes for the customer service thing where it's like, I still kill it with customers, but it's now I kill it with my employees too, because like that's another staple where it's like, yeah, if let's say I pay, I don't know, to buy them lunch. Let's say I buy them lunch once a month and it costs me $100. I'm going to make $100 off them easily by them being happy.
Yeah.
Like when you have inefficient employees, that's when you lose a crazy amount of money because they're going to waste product. They're going to, so like I've worked in factories. I know how it works. So if I can go the extra mile, like it's the same as customers. It really isn't anything different. But even like I've had people walk in like, you did that for your employees. I'm like, yeah, like it's the same thing. It's the wow factor. And I love it. It's I have a different word for it, but I'm not going to say it on here. But it's the wow factor where it's like, why did he do that? Like, for example, I have a bunch of business owners that I do business with, my insurance agent, my bunch of different people that sell my products. I had a pen made like yours. I had their name etched in it, and I put it in a nice case, cost me about $70 each, and I mailed it to them. Well, and people are like, that's a waste of money. You spent, whatever, $600. I looked and I go, well, it is what it is. Thank them. I had one person cry on the phone, call me and said like, I've never had someone do this to me and whatever. But then they said, you know what, for Christmas, I'm going to have all my staff cars detailed.
Wow.
Like that just paid for all those pens. Like, so when you look at that and it's like, when people look at you and you're doing good things, and the main thing is don't give stuff and expect stuff back in return. Yes. That's not what I do. Like, don't get it the wrong way where it's like, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get that. No, it's literally like, for example, like one thing we talked about was when you're in a Tim Hortons line, pay for the person behind you. If it's $2, pay it. Because the main thing is you just made someone's day better. And that's really what you're doing. And $2, I don't even notice it's gone. And it's not that I have crazy amounts of money that I don't notice. It's even when I was working my other job and I wasn't making crazy money. You give $2 away every week, you're not going to notice it's gone. But you just made their life behind you way of a hell of a lot better. And that's the same thing. If you look at it from that purpose of how can I make their life better or go the extra mile for anybody that works with me, because even my insurance agent, they're part of my team. If I have an issue and something happens, who do you think they're going to, if they see my name come up on their caller ID at 2 a.m, do you think they're going to answer it?
Yeah, of course.
That's it. Yeah. So it's when you have everybody and they're happy around you and you're like, oh, I like that guy because he went the extra mile, he remembered me, or I asked like how their kids are and whatever, then you're more of a friend. You're not really like, so you make the difference.
Yeah. So like, what do you think was the biggest shift to now? Like, you know, when you sit across from me here, even from the last podcast, you're in this completely different space where you're confident and, so, what do you think the big shift is from where you started on day one to where you are now?
I think I kept doing the same thing and it compounded.
Yeah.
Because it's literally, I didn't change. Like, from the last podcast, there's not much things that changed other than, like, maybe personal things with me as we grew on them. But in terms of the business, not much has really changed. Like, I brought different people on or different coaches or different things, like, learned more. But it's not like, but even that, it's like, I'm getting more customers because they're seeing what I'm doing and they're hearing stuff that I do. Like, I'm one of the only, like, before when I was new, I was one of the only ceramic coating installers in the city. Now I'm one of the top ceramic coating installers in the city. Like, there's only 3 or 4 and I'm one of the top on Google. So, I mean, like, it's stuff like that where when you really help people out or you educate them and you spend the time, like, even if they bought a $100 package, just spend the time with them. I probably spend more time with people with cheaper packages than I do with expensive ones. Because the expensive ones, they know everything. There's a reason why they're buying it. They know it. The cheaper ones, they don't know. They just want their car clean. So you're going to spend more time with the lower end packages, but you don't know what their husband wants. Maybe their husband just bought a new car and he wants that coated. And it's $1,000 package. You don't know. I mean, you just do it out of the goodness of your heart and you help people out. And I think that's what really made the difference was people look at me and they think, and it's true, is he's open. Like no matter what. I'm not a typical business owner. Like
Yes, and you're not obsessed with making money either.
No, that's honestly one of the last things.
Yes, and that was the huge shift that happened for me in business. Is and one of the tools that I gave you was that the giving money away. Like, stop holding onto your money so tightly. And you weren't that bad with it, but for me, I was always holding my money so tightly. And I just experienced it again recently. I just bought a home gym because I'm so sick of this open and closing of the gyms. And like, my life is on track when I wake up in the morning and I can exercise. I can do whatever and I exercise. When they keep pulling the gym away from me, then I'm having to find new ways to exercise and whatever. So finally, I'm like, forget it. I'm buying a home gym. But it was like, this thing was like $6,000, and I was like, I don't know if I want to spend this money. And I got caught into like that scarcity mindset again, where I didn't want to put my money out there in the belief that I want to come up back. And then so I just said, no, like, money is abundant. It's going to continue to flow into my life. And so I went and bought the gym, and then like 2 days later, I signed up a client for like the exact same price as the gym. And it's just like, oh yes, thank you for that confirmation. But the big thing is that at Treehouse, I was so obsessed with making money. Everything I did was, how can I make more money? And the second I said, how can I provide more value to my customers? That's when the entire business completely it literally doubled our sales in, a matter of like, 3 years. But like, that just mindset, and that value system that kind of like flowed through the company, that we are here to provide value to our customers. Everyone got it. We're not just about making money. In fact, sometimes we'll do things that won't make us any money. Like, we do a customer appreciation night where we do $2 everything. And it's like, there's some things that you can buy that are behind our bar that cost us more than $2 an ounce. Right.
Yeah.
And so people are like, you're crazy for doing those things. And it's like, no, I want my customers to feel like they're valued. And when they feel like they're valued, they're going to keep coming back and they're going to keep telling other people. And that's literally all you need to do to start a business, is just give more than you expect to receive. And if you do that, you're going to be super successful, and you're a testament to that.
Yeah, and like a good story, I would say, is because in January and February, it's very slow for detailers in general. It's winter. No one wants to do their cars. So in that time, I just started like building stuff for like different things behind the scenes. And I'm like, like, will it ever come back? Like, because that's a part of the idea where it's like, you're doing nothing. Like, I'm used to working, like moving 8 hours a day. You're doing nothing for like 2 months and like whatever. And you're like, will it come back? I think it was March. I did 45% of my last year in 1 month.
Crazy.
By myself.
Yeah.
I looked, I'm like, oh shit. Like, I'm like literally like, I'm like, holy crap. Like, this is like, yeah, it's coming back. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah. And then I looked at, and that's where it really pushed me. Like, I need employees. This is like, now it's, yeah, I had no days off. I had no this, that, whatever. And it's like, okay. I'm like, yeah, it's ready to go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. The how will be revealed by taking action. Just go and do it. Understand why you're not doing it, and all the answers will come to you. Everything that you need, everything you'll ever need will be provided to you. It's something I believe. I think you're starting to tune into that too now.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
Like, be confident in the process. Don't overanalyze it. Don't stress out about it. Don't just let it go and see where it takes you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, right on. So what's first of all, it's like, how can people find you if they want to get their car detailed by you?
So Excelsior Detailing, if you Google it, you'll find it. You'll see the reviews. You'll find the website, EXCELSIOR. I spelt it right.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it like last time. And yeah, Facebook, Instagram, you'll see all the videos I do. If you have any questions, obviously reach out to me.
Yeah. What's the next step for Excelsior Auto Detailing?
Probably a commercial space and expanding the team even more.
Yeah. I love that, man. Well, man, I always knew it. When you came in, I'm like, yeah, this guy's got it. He's going to be successful. It was just a matter of you uncovering it and feeling it. I think you're there now.
And another thing I want to say before I finish it, if I didn't see you, it wouldn't be here. So I mean, like, stuff like that where people look at it like, oh, yeah, you started a business, but it's like, you got to make the right calls too. Like, without a coach, and like, I can honestly say it would not be here. Like, I could say you're one of the reasons it would not be here. Like, it would not. I wouldn't have started it at all. It's like, that's like something where it's like, the reason why it started and the reason why I'm sitting here at this side of the table with this logo on is because you helped me.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. But obviously, I'm not going to take the credit for it because you were there and you did the work, right? And
but without you have to plant a seed for it to grow. Yeah, so.
And I think you kind of touched upon this, and I think this is a good place to leave it. It's that you can figure everything out on your own, 100%. Like, I don't even really 100% agree with you. You would have got there. It might have just taken you
5 years.
Yeah. Right. So that's like, it's like, if by getting a coach, you can come to me and you're making $30K a year and I can get you to make $100K a year. It's like, well, what was that worth? Worth at least $70K, I would beg to argue, and that's obviously not what you paid, but it's like, It's just to get you to where you want to go quicker and make you see the things that you want to see quicker. And then, yeah, of course, anyone can figure it out on their own, but it's like, why would you?
Yeah.
If you have someone that's already where you want to be, then why would you not just go to them and ask for help? But a lot of people have to overcome this belief that they can do it on their own. It's like no one did it on their own. I just told you I was listening to this book, Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. Ferriss is a great book, and essentially it's an interview with like all the most successful people that he knows. And Arnold Schwarzenegger said, someone in an interview said, you're a self-made man. You started from zero and being poor and whatever. And he's like, I'm not a self-made man. He's like, I have hundreds of people that have helped me along the way, right? And that's what it is for all of us. It's like, let go of this pride that you got to do it on your own and just go and ask for the help, and you're going to get to where you want to go 100 times faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so don't forget, if you need a car detailed, there's only literally one place I would go to, and that's you at Excelsior Auto Detailing. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Andrew's got a great story, and if you're on the fence, man, about starting your own company, it's time to just take that leap, and the how will be revealed by taking action. And Andrew is a testament to what can be accomplished in like a short period of time. So thanks for taking the time to listen. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And every Wednesday, we're back with new podcast. See you next week.